The Carvera Z1 is a smart entry-level desktop CNC that's currently generating a lot of hype. But today we're going to cut through that and test it to see what works well, what doesn't, and what isn't quite ready to go. .3D printers in recent years have gone through quite a transition, from tinkerers tools that needed a lot of extra attention to keep them going, to sleek, user-friendly packages that most of the time just work. In the CNC space, Makera with their Carvera CNC machines have gone for the same type of approach, and this is their third attempt, the Carvera Z1. This is currently on Kickstarter, and I'm releasing this video with enough time for you to make an informed decision before the campaign ends. And of course, I should say up front that a Kickstarter is not a pre-order and comes with risk. I made a video with Angus from Makers Muse in the past exploring the topic in detail, so please check that out. The other thing to point out is that I did get this pre-production unit for free, and it is being tested in accordance with my review policy available on my website. So let's jump in and look at the things that are well thought out and some other things that feel very rushed. Let's briefly start with the packaging and unboxing, and the Z1 does have a big box, but it is significantly lighter at only 20 kilograms compared to the crate that the original Carvera came in, which weighed a whopping 75 kilos, or 51.5 for the Carvera Air. So size and weight wise, it is a lot easier to manage for a person by themselves, although I am compelled to point out the excessive amount of plastic, tape and packaging. There really was a lot of it on top of the usual foam and cardboard. Getting set up is straightforward as there's zero assembly to complete. You just have to unpack the boxes of parts and accessories one by one. Speaking of accessories and parts, this particular item not only confused me on how to undo it, but also as to why it was chosen to store all of the spare cutting bits. I don't think this is indicative of exactly what bits you'll get if you back this project, as that seems to depend on the timing of your pledge. The same goes for the materials I was sent. I'm not sure if I got them because I'm a YouTuber or whether they're representative of what you will get for backing the Kickstarter. I guess you should carefully check the what's in the box section and marry that up with whatever rewards are unlocked for your timing. One thing that frustrated me and did feel very rushed was the presentation of all of the tools and mounting accessories. As you can see, everything is spread between various bags, and after they're unpacked there's not really anywhere for them to go, as compared to the two previous models where everything was laid out neatly in a little toolbox, very handy to have next to the machine and make it more user friendly. Hopefully this is rectified for the version that backers receive. Another small difference here is that previous Carveras had 4 clamps to hold down the stock, whereas the Z1 only has 2, and honestly with the smaller bed this was enough all of the time for me. Whereas the original Carvera has a built-in integrated laser on every model for engraving, the Carvera Z1, like its cheaper counterpart the Carvera Air, has this as an optional add-on. More on this later. Another optional add-on is the 4th axis, which is consistent with all 3 CNCs that Makera offer. More testing of this later as well. One thing very conspicuous by its absence with the Z1 was any form of manual or getting started examples guide. One of the real strengths of the previous machines is the documentation, with fantastic user guides going through every procedure you need, and then an examples guide which steers you through the completion of several projects and teaches you how to use all of the software in the process. With this currently missing for the Z1, I was instructed to instead follow the guide for the Carvera Air, and there was quite a bit of overlap, but a few times it was different enough to catch me out. I really hope a Z1 version will be ready for backers. With the machine turned on, let's inspect some other differences between it and its predecessors. The Z1 uses the same quick release tool head as the Carvera Air. Push down the lever, pull out the cutting bit, and loading a new one is the same but in reverse. Each change takes a couple of seconds and the system works well and is reliable. Compare this to the original flagship Carvera, which has a 6-tool automatic tool changer as well as the wireless probe. The Z1, like the Air, has a permanently connected wired probe. It sits in a little caddy on the side, ready for quick insertion, and when you're done, it goes back into that same holder before a regular cutting tool is put in to proceed with the job. Like all Carvera versions, this is one of the most user-friendly features, as it has a laser to trace out where the tool will take place on the stock, and then following this, just like 3D printer auto bed leveling, you can ask the machine to measure the top of the surface in a grid to measure any deviation and compensate for it. And this is particularly handy for things like PCBs where we have a shallow cut that needs to be very precise in its depth. This is further aided by the probe and any cutting tools automatically having their tip measured to get the precise Z offset without any user intervention. The lid is a simple injection molded clamshell with reinforcement along the lip and magnets to hold it shut, and as a bonus it makes an adorable squeak as you open or close it. Looking at the structure and electronics, we have this very chunky casting with linear rails mounted to it, aiming to provide the maximum rigidity possible for this price point and weight. The spindle is 150 watt compared to 200 watt for the other Makera models, and the motion system uses regular NEMA 17 stepper motors, as opposed to the two more expensive Carvera versions which have encoders to make them closed loop. One other thing that stands out on the Z1 is how all of the internal surfaces of the floor are sloped down. That's to do with the vacuum system, and we'll look at that in more detail soon. All I'll say for now is it's deep enough that you don't want to drop anything down because it will fall into the trench that's hard to reach. That's what happened to me with this cutting bit that I was fortunately able to retrieve with the help of a magnet. Probably the biggest change compared to the other models is the smaller working volume, with a bed of 200 by 200 and 100mm of Z travel. However, as you can see, this 200mm squared includes the anchor in the lower left and the tool touch-off probe in the upper right. This carbon sheet is 180 by 180, but really that's a little bit too big, as we can't access all of the mounting holes on the top and right hand side. If you want to make some larger projects on this, go into your CAD and draw a 180mm squared box to see if it'll actually fit, because some of the things that I wanted to make for this test, I couldn't because they were a little bit too large. On the software side, we have the same Carvera Control app that connects to the machine, allows manual movement, and previews the G-code, including showing which tools will be cutting which sections. When you go to start a job, you have control over where it's positioned, where the probing takes place, and whether or not you enable auto bed leveling. One of the selling points of the Z1 is a new inbuilt camera, and the Kickstarter page has a fancy video showing a dedicated app with the camera output. Well, not only is this app not available for me to test, but the camera on my test model wasn't working. Opening the interface simply gave a blank white screen. I was instructed to try and fix this by unbolting the camera and then reseating it, but after this and a reboot, alas, no change, so I can't report on resolution, frame rate, or anything like that. I did find some bugs like the whole platform being zoomed in on the preview, meaning projects that would actually fit on the machine did not fit in the preview. Something else unfinished is the connectivity. On previous models, you put the machine on your Wi-Fi network and then connect to it from any computer on the same network. However, here that's not ready yet, so you have to connect to the machine directly, which means that computer will no longer have external internet, before then connecting to the machine directly within the software. This will surely be fixed, but it was still frustrating that it wasn't available in time for my test. On the cam side, we have Makera Cam, which is almost exactly the same as it was when I tested it in detail in this previous video, linked in the description. Now since that video, it has had some minor updates, but none of the obvious things I complained about have been fixed, like proper camera control to orbit, built-in tooltips to explain what any of the settings are, and absolutely no time estimation whatsoever for any jobs that you prepare. Despite this, it's actually still a good option. One, because it's free and set up already for these machines with a built-in tool library of all the cutters you can buy, but it also handles 2D and 3D operations, functions for preparing laser engraving and cutting using 2D images or vector graphics, and support for running 4th axis jobs as well, which is normally very expensive in other software. A real advantage for beginners is that for each preset tool and material combo, the feeds and speeds will be calculated automatically, and I didn't experience any broken bits during my testing. I'm told the lack of updates is because of the upcoming Makera Studio, an all-in-one improved package shown on the Kickstarter, but unfortunately unavailable for me to test at this time. In terms of other resources, we have our usual community groups like Discord, as well as an extensive YouTube channel containing many tutorials for projects, as well as the inner workings of Makera Cam. Makera have an extensive wiki, it really is excellent, but unfortunately there's still only sections for the Carvera and the Carvera Air. The Z1 is absent, and hopefully it will be ready on time for when backers receive their machines. One new resource Makera have is Makerables. Think printables, except objects for CNC and maybe laser. I think this is a welcome idea, but it's still in a very early phase, and therefore it was limited in how much I could actually use it. Many of the pages just refused to load, and for the ones that did, the files uploaded didn't necessarily suit my CAD or a step file needed for Makera Cam. So a novel idea, but again, more development required. The Kickstarter page also talks about some easy to use AI functionality. However, 2 of the 3 of these were still unavailable for testing. I did try to use the 2D to 3D relief generator, going hard at it immediately with a Sam Prentice picture, but again it was buggy, asking me to log in even though I was clearly logged in up in the right hand side. So I ended up using an existing resource linked in the description. I'm sure you can sense my frustration in the amount of things that either aren't ready or available to test at this stage. Previously for the Carvera and Carvera Air, the production units had several improvements over the Kickstarter versions. So let's hope they get their act together and supply something to backers that they have paid for. Moving right along, let's assess the performance, starting with the new vacuum system. I call it a vacuum, but they call it the Cyclone dust collector Lite, and you can see that it's designed to pick up from the base of the machine where those angled segments point towards. It's a US $300 option, and it does look pretty nice sitting on the desk. All of the waste is collected in the bottom, and then the rest of the unit lifts off so you can empty it. Apart from the hose, there's a control cable that goes between the main machine and this, and as we saw, the hose connects right at the bottom and is simply a push fit. You can turn it on or off manually, or have it controlled automatically with the print job from Carvera Controller. It's hard to measure the volume of a CNC machine because it largely depends on what exactly you're cutting, but here's a sample with the vacuum on full mid-machining job. I would describe it as adding to the noise without necessarily making it any louder. So how does it perform? I ran the same job with and without the vacuum, and this version you're seeing here is the version where the vacuum was not connected. Plenty of debris, especially in those deep valleys at the back of the machine. Here's the same job with the same material at the same stage, this time with the vacuum being connected and running the whole time. The amount of debris is significantly lowered, but there is still plenty in the machine. And if we check inside the collection bin, we can see it has collected a fair amount, but certainly not all of it. There's two other features to assist, auto blow and auto bed clean. Auto blow I think is a nice idea. The cooling fan turns on and then the head zigzags back and forth over the work surface, getting rid of most of the debris. This makes it easier to get the part at the end, but it only moves the problem around. It doesn't really assist in more debris being sucked up by the vacuum. As you can see, after this there was still plenty left behind. Auto bed clean is not yet released, but my understanding is the bed will vibrate to shuffle that debris down towards the vacuum. I tried to preview this by replicating it, setting up a drill to vibrate, and running it against the side of the machine while the vacuum was on full. As you can see, it did little to agitate and move the debris. The same with changing the drill position to directly on top of the bed, and I did have a little more success with just banging the side of the machine, however the effectiveness of this was still limited. So unless this is improved, you'll probably still need a shop vac to sit next to the machine and help tidy up. And of course you can simply unplug the hose from the back of the Z1 and use the dust collector Lite as a shop vac. It seems to work pretty well for that. It's also worth noting that the Cyclone dust collector has filtration and did a great job at filtering out any perceivable smoke smell when I was using the laser engraving function. So how about some actual machining results? Firstly, that example job, the 3D relief with a fine tip engraving bit. I did this one twice and both are superb. There's no defects at all and there's very fine smooth details across the entire surface. Those sample blocks are a pretty soft material, so I also carved Sam Prentice's face into a block of 12mm acrylic. The idea being that some side or backlighting would bring out his best features for something like Halloween. This was another great result. One more 3D relief, this 2D artwork converted into an STL, and then engraved into the surface of this spare piece of copper. Now I was limited by size here and was experimenting, but I think you can see the potential for engraving images into metal. As I mentioned earlier, the auto bed leveling makes PCBs a breeze, because when the top is measured, it accounts for any flex or warp in the material. And here's the simplest demo PCB included on the machine. An engraving bit cut out the traces, and then a corn bit went around the outside and cut all of the through holes. All of the Carveras are great at doing home PCBs. On the other Carveras, I've made a lot of carbon fiber sheet parts. This is 3mm thick stock, and this is a pretty simple job with some pockets and then some through cuts. With the included corn bit, this can be done reliably and repeatedly. The machining is great, so probably my biggest concern here is the cleanup afterwards, since the Cyclone dust collector Lite won't really remove debris from the surface unless I choose to blow it everywhere. Another thing I frequently make on the other Carveras are small aluminium brackets. So to test if the Z1 could do the same type of job, I molded up this custom piece with a range of features. We have 4 holes to receive M5 threads, then we have pockets at 2 different heights, as well as contours and through cuts. This is also a good test for Makera to see if I can set up everything in the order needed for success. I started by cutting the bores, then asking for the M5 threads, followed by the 2 levels of pockets, cutting out the internal holes, chamfering the upper edges, and then cutting out the external contour. By far my favourite of these operations is the thread milling. A bespoke cutter travels in a helix from the bottom up, creating a perfect thread in a single pass. To me, the result matches what I would get on either of the bigger Carvera machines, which means a big tick for me. And in case you were wondering, yes, the threads are absolutely perfect right off the machine. Professionals will likely point out minor blemishes here, but I'm sure most people will fall into my category where they're happy to make this type of part at home. The Kickstarter FAQ has a section on steel or titanium, and it sounds like it can do it, but it's going to be a strain and be very slow. What I can confirm is that soft metals like aluminium and copper can be machined reliably over and over without any deterioration in performance. The optional laser module attaches like any other tool. We use the quick change system to clamp it like a cutting bit, then plug it into the port above the one for the wired probe. It's only a 5-watt diode laser, so you're not going to be cutting through any thick materials, and definitely not clear acrylic. But it is plenty effective for engraving images into the top of your materials. Here's the example Audrey Hepburn portrait, and one I prepared myself, also in Makera Cam, a nice portrait of Sam Prentice, and don't they look handsome together. A quick safety warning here, the fumes were filtered nicely by the Cyclone dust collector, but as you can see, the visual guard over the laser doesn't completely cover it, so you will need to wear the included laser safety goggles and make sure there's no children or kids in the room. Like both other Carvera machines, the 4th axis is an optional accessory. It's located by dowels on the bed and then bolts into place so it doesn't wiggle. With the machine off, we plug it into the port inside the back, and when we turn it on, it will be automatically detected. I should note that this 4th axis unit mirrors the older design instead of the newer one with the harmonic drive gearbox. In theory, this means slightly more lash, however none showed up in my testing. The demonstration job for this has 2 passes, the first being a roughing pass with an end mill to remove most of the material. After that comes a fine finishing pass with an engraving bit, which creates the final surface finish of the object. These really do turn out flawless. The surface finish is incredibly smooth, yet the fine details are immaculate. And best of all, I was able to process my own version in Makera Cam and achieve the same excellent result. These 2 examples are just high density modeling board, but you can also use other materials in the same way. Performance wise, this machine is very good, just as good as the 2 other Carvera models that came before it, so all of my concerns at this stage are around software and documentation. The Kickstarter early birds are cheaper, but once this is over, regular retail will be $1,200 US. And if you're worried about any of the incomplete things you've seen here, I would recommend waiting until regular orders are available. That's still $1,000 cheaper than the Carvera Air, and a whopping $4,000 cheaper than the flagship Carvera with the automatic tool changer and built-in laser. Performance wise, I feel that the Z1 is just as capable as its predecessors, although a lot smaller and of course cheaper. And every time I test one of these, we have CNC professionals pointing out its shortcomings compared to industrial style machines. But these are never trying to be that. They're designed for hobbyists and small businesses to be able to make nice parts in soft metal, carbon fiber, or more decorative pieces. And when it comes to that, I really do think they excel. I do have concerns, however, over how rushed some of this package feels. And you would hope by the time that it launches for customers, that they would have all of this in place given their track record. However, it's a good time to remind you that any Kickstarter has an element of risk, so think carefully and only back if you're confident. That's my opinion based on my testing. Let me know in the comments section what you think about the Z1 and whether you're interested in taking the plunge. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy budget CNCing. G'day, it's Michael again. If you like the video, then please click like. If you want to see more content like this in future, click subscribe and make sure you click on the bell to receive every notification. If you really want to support the channel and see exclusive content, become a patron. Visit my Patreon page. See you next time.